Hello and welcome. Welcome to our masterclass. I'm Walt Hampton.
And I am Ann Shibani.
We're so happy that you're here. This is one of our very favorite classes to teach.
I think we've been teaching this for like 4 or 5 years, and we decided to switch it up and do it a whole different way. We decided to be innovative.
Well, we decided to use video because we so love the ability to connect with people by video. So it's so nice to have you here. One of the great things about video is you can pause it for along the way.
You can. I know. Like if we have to look at our notes, we can sit and pause it.
No, but our viewers can sit and pause it.
That's right.
Oh, I'm
Not
so
just
tired.
us.
I'm so tired of hearing
Oh my God,
them.
they're blathering.
So it's a class that we teach at this time of year, getting ready for the year ahead. But I'm going to get ahead of myself. I think we ought to talk about the beans.
Not the beans.
Not the beans.
The beans.
So the beans, there's a wonderful YouTube video, and the video is very moving. Every time we've seen this video, it's
You get all weepy.
I get pretty weepy. I get particularly weepy about it this year because it was my 60th birthday, and so the idea of the beans, the video, they dump the beans onto the floor, and the beans represent the days of your life.
Right,
and
the days of your life. So they're a massive pile when you were born.
But then they begin to allocate the beans that you already lived. They begin to allocate the beans that you do for self-care, sleeping, working.
And then you are left.
You're left with
a handful of beans that show what you have left
for yourself.
That freaks you out every time.
Well, I think
I can ignore it. It's like I got plenty of time.
But
that's part of the problem. That's part of the problem.
Master class.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is we only have a certain number of beans. We only have a certain number of the days of our life. And it's easy to pretend that we don't.
Right.
It's easy to, yes, it's easy to defer stuff. It's easy to say, we're going to get to it. We're going to get to it next year. We're going to get to it when the kids are out of school, when I get the new job, when I retire, when my partner retires. We delude ourselves. We tell ourselves this.
Yeah, when the kids are out of college was our big one.
Yeah, so we tell ourselves this story that we will get to it. But the truth is that tomorrow is promised to no one.
And tomorrow is essentially 2018, and all of those things that you swore to yourself that you would do in 2017, have you done them?
Yes, because the year goes by so fast. I cannot believe how fast this year has gone for us. So
here's the question. Did you actually lose the weight in 2017? Did you write the book? Did you double your income like you swore you would?
Did you get the promotion? Did you get the new job? Did you create the piece of art? Did you
actually take time off and go on vacation this year?
Like a real vacation, like off the grid vacation? Did you launch the new product? Did you create the new program? Did you make the art? Did you carve out those special moments for your loved ones? Did you create those magic moments?
Did you insist only on working with clients that you love, or did you just fall back into really bad habits, even though you made the resolution at the beginning of the year that you would stop doing that?
Yeah, and we're all capable of just allowing the clock to go out, telling ourselves that we're going to get to it. And the truth is that 2017 has flown by. We're now into the craziness of the holiday season, and you're going to wake up all of a sudden on the 5th of January and say, OMG, we got to get going.
It's not what I say. I actually use kind of choicer language.
Yes, you do.
I'm so disgusted. So
yeah, well, and yes. So we love this class because there's so much that we can do right now to set up 2018, to make it just an amazing year. And the stuff that we're going to share with you is stuff that we use ourselves.
Yes, and it's ridiculously simple, but the truth is you need this reminder. You need to start considering these things and start writing these things down right now, and not glossing it over, not dismissing it as, yeah, everybody knows that.
Yes.
Because why?
Well, because even though it's the principles are simple. It's not easy.
Yeah, it's not easy
It's not
to
easy.
do. It's not easy to take the time
It's easy
off.
or easy to do and easy not to do.
Yeah, yeah.
So we love this class because in this next month there's so much that we can put in place, and we do. We actually we go through this process ourselves. We go through it with our inner circle clients. We go through it ourselves. We actually take an entire day at the end of the year to go through the process that we're going to share with you
In these three videos.
in these videos. And you're going to walk away with the one thing, the tool that's going to set you up for an amazing 2018.
Oh, you're
So
just good. You're going to leave that hanging. Aren't you?
I'm gonna
You
I'm gonna
are?
leave
You're gonna leave
I'm
it
gonna leave it
hanging.
as an open loop.
Oh my Lord, you're
But-
so.
So a lot of you know us, but for those of you who don't, you know, I imagine that I'm a lot like some of you. I was a lawyer for 32 years. Well, I'm still a lawyer. Once a lawyer, always a lawyer. But I practiced law for more than 25 years. I managed a law firm, and I was really good at it. I was very successful at it, but I always found the work to be, for me, soul sucking. It was I found the
You were not a happy camper.
I found the adversarial process very, very wearing. And even though the work was exciting, even though it was lucrative, even though I had garnered a lot of respect, even though the firm was successful, in my heart, I was never really truly happy, never really truly deeply satisfied.
But then you had those golden handcuffs.
Well,
I mean, I loved the money.
yeah, no, well, the golden handcuffs are one thing, but and I was a single dad raising 3 boys on my own for a dozen years, so I had the responsibility of them. I had the mortgage, I had the office building, I had all of the, I had all of the trappings of success,
Yeah,
and
so it's
yet
not like you can just walk away from that.
no, it wasn't that I could walk away from it for a long time, so I thought. But what I discovered gradually, and we'll share some of this in the course of our time together, is that there are ways to make deliberate choices. There are ways to co-create our lives. It does come down to the choices that we make very deliberately about how we create what we do. And so even in the context of this very busy life with a lot of responsibilities, I began to really begin to tease out the principles that allowed me finally to get free.
Yes. All right. So I'm like
No,
a lot.
enough about
you.
me.
For once, enough about you. See, I consider myself like a lot of my clients, a lot of women in particular, get really, really caught up in the working mom thing. I was the salary girl. I was the, industrial chemical salesperson who made $50,000 a year. And I had zero imagination for any other life. I figured, if I did well, I would live like my parents. I'd have, the suburban house and the 2.3 kids. Is that what 2.3?
I think it's 2.2.
2.2 kids.
But you ended up with
Right.
2.
But I ended up with 2, the point 2. I left that to the curb. But I had no vision whatsoever for anything other than the worker bee life. And
I think when you were exposed to entrepreneurship, when you came into the law firm as the law firm manager originally,
Yeah.
you were rather horrified by
I was
by the
horrified.
entrepreneurial roller
the
coaster.
roller coaster was outstanding. I'm like, I want my paycheck at the end of the month. So that roller coaster was astounding. But my whole thing was, I'm gonna take care of my kids. I'm gonna handle the suburban responsibilities. And I had no idea who I was. You raise kids, you work a job. You don't think about what you need. You don't think about what you want because that's selfish.
Yes.
So-
yeah, and that's true. I mean, anytime I think, talk about what we want, and we're going to talk about that today. Anytime we talk about what we want in our heart of hearts, there is that voice, particularly if we're taking care of the needs of others. Am I being selfish to want
Right.
more, to be more?
Yeah, we don't even want to talk about the disappointment that comes with wanting something and then having to put it aside because you got to
yes.
take care of
Everybody
everybody
else's
else.
needs. So anyway, we stumbled upon each other 12 years ago now, and we were married 10 years ago, and You dragged me kicking and screaming, literally kicking and
I know,
screaming
it
to
was actually fun.
my first Tony Robbins event, and I said I didn't want to drink the Kool-Aid. No Kool-Aid for me. And we went, and I drank the
Yeah,
Kool-Aid.
we discovered personal development, and we discovered a way of questioning how our life was actually working, what we wanted to change, what we wanted to create. And that actually takes some vision.
Yeah, well, it takes permission, and I think we all of a sudden realized when we were surrounded by a community, which is such an important piece, to be surrounded by a community of like-minded people who get it.
Who
All
are
the-
asking the questions, who are
Yes.
doing things that we had never even
But
imagined.
all of a sudden, we're immersed in this community that wanted more, that believed that there was more, that believed that they could choose to create more in their lives. And this was exciting for us. And we began to work with wonderful coaches. We began to be immersed in this community. And in the course of that, we began to began to design what we wanted for our lives. We began to kind of push the edges of our comfort zones. We began to experiment that, if we could have life exactly the way we wanted, what would it look
what
like?
would it look like? And that's really kind of a lead in to what we want to go through with you today.
Yes. So, in any event, so fast forward, I think it's important to kind of close that open loop. Fast forward to, 2017, now a decade later, we're able to live and work wherever we want. We're
We
able
happen to live in rural
Okay,
Ireland.
you said I couldn't do
All
this,
right.
but I'm gonna actually turn the camera around here because this is where we're filming here today in rural Ireland, and it's really beautiful. So that's probably gonna have to get it edited out,
Right.
but we can sort
We're back.
that.
We're back.
But we live and work in rural Ireland. We have a good broadband.
We have a great broadband connection.
Yes.
We have a few businesses that we adore.
Yes.
We're living life on our terms.
We get to travel and adventure all around the world.
Yes.
We get to work with amazing people, and
we designed this.
yeah,
We designed this life.
The last 2 weeks, we were in the States visiting friends, doing business, skiing in northern Vermont, and we've created something that's really special. But I don't think that we ourselves are any different in any way from anyone else in terms of their ability to create what they want.
Oh, I think we're special.
What you are.
Yeah, we're special.
So, in any event, I lost our notes here, but I know that I know that what we want to do is to begin to share with you the principles that will reignite some imagination for you.
So it begins with imagination.
It
begins with imagination. We had, if you are not exposed to ideas, if you are not seeing what is possible, like we lose our imagination when we are the worker bee,
Yes.
when we are the worker mom or the worker dad, we lose our imagination. It begins with, to design a life, it begins with imagination.
And just to kind of underscore this point, everything that we have began with imagination, whether it be, the Sistine Chapel, or
Yes.
whether it be some of the great art in the world, whether it be the light bulb, whether it be
Right.
the internet, whether it be the iPhone, the Mac. It all began in the imagination, and we forget that it is in the imagination that we can create
Right.
anything.
So we went and did this little exercise. We were on our honeymoon in Ireland.
Okay, so-
and we did an exercise. We created a bucket list, and the exercise was this: you want to create 101 things that you want to do, be, or have before you drop dead.
Yes.
Before
And
your beans get all spent.
And we were
And
working with a Jack Canfield
We were
coach,
working with a Jack
at the
Canfield
time.
coach, and we thought, oh, bucket list, we're like super adventurous people. We have lots of ideas. And we sat down, and each one of us by ourselves wrote out our bucket list. And I got to item number 50.
I got to 84,
Oh, well.
but I'm competitive.
I got actually to 85, but
So, so the exercise that we were assigned is write down the things that you want to do, be, or have before you die. And it seemed easy at the outset, and yet it was so challenging. And I think here's why it's challenging. It's challenging for a number of reasons. When we're little, I mean, it's easy to imagine. You know, you ask a little child, what do you want to, or that first question, what do you want to be when you grow up? And as a child, we know what we want to do, be, and have. We have this imagination for what we want to create, where we want to go, what we want to do, who we want to be. We have the imagination for it, and then we get the 2.2 kids and
Right.
the mortgages.
And there's no, you stop imagining these things because you're focused on everybody else, you're focused on your responsibilities, and the stuff goes away.
Yes, Sean Aker, who wrote The Happiness Advantage, uses the term the cognitive horizons of our lives begin to flatten.
Oh, now you're showing off.
Well, no, but every day begins to look the same, and we begin to lose the imagination for what we want. I remember that time that we were at the Bushnell Theater. I was doing a book signing, and that gentleman came out of the audience, and it was about 8 o'clock in the evening, and he still had his tie on and his jacket on, and he came up and he looked at me across the table and he said, "I have a problem with what you said." And I'm thinking, oh, did I use the F word from the stage or something? No, but I did use the F word. I used the word fun. You know, what is fun for you? What do you love to do? And then his shoulders dropped and the tears began to come down his eyes. He said, I can't remember anymore what it is to have fun. So the
stuff that's on our bucket list won't be on your bucket list. Like, Walt's bucket list is, hey, climb Mount Everest. It's likely not on your bucket list.
So, but what we created the bucket list,
Yes.
and then and it pushed our comfort zone, and then we began to do that bucket list. So, in any event, down beneath the video, you can actually pause the video if you want. If you haven't downloaded this already, it's 2 pages. We're going to get to the second page in a minute, but download the exercise right here, because creating 2018 is about reclaiming what you want, reimagining what you want.
It's about being outrageous and greedy and highly imaginative. Let yourself just write out what you want. You don't have to share it with anybody.
So our exercise was do, be, or have. The exercise that we've recommended to our viewers is do, be, have, or experience. For you and for me, particularly as we've created a life where we're freer to move about the world, having things has become far less important.
Yeah.
It's more about the experiences.
It's feeling a sense of peace, feeling financial freedom.
But it's also creating magic moments for ourselves, for each other, for our children, for our grandchildren. And so the sense of experience is important. So we haven't asked you to do 100. We've asked you to do 10. So 10 things that you want to do, be, have, or experience before you die. And allow yourself some freedom to imagine. Give yourself permission.
We give you permission to be greedy and totally unreasonable.
Yes. Now, if we were working with you as your coaches, we might suggest that the difference between goals and dreams are that goals are dreams with a deadline, and we might push you after the exercise of creating the 10 things that you want to do, be, and have, or experience. We might push you to put a date and a time on that list.
But we're not going to do that.
But we're not going to do that in this video.
Right. Not now. God, they're going to not come back.
We're not going to do that in this video.
Right.
So 10 things that you want to do, be, or have. You don't have to do it right now, but do it sometime between now and the next video, which I think is going to be Wednesday.
Yeah.
And give yourself permission again. So this takes a bit of daring, but it also brings us to this next exercise,
Right. This
which
is
I think
the reason that your bucket list is going to be different than our bucket list.
Yes.
It's the reason your bucket list is uniquely yours and why you are choosing these things. And that's all about values,
what you value most. So this is also sometimes that we know intuitively, or we think that we know, but we rarely stop long enough to get really crystal clear about it. And so the question is, what do you really value? The
All right. So,
exercise,
like, yeah, the knee-jerk experience or knee-jerk response that everybody has is, I value country and family and
Oh.
God and my health, something
Yes.
like that. You're usually going to reach for the common things, the things that you hear, the things that you're supposed to say.
Yes. So anyway, your second exercise is called my values matrix. And what I like to do is to actually fold it in half the long way like
That's
this.
because you're an origami fool.
Maybe.
Yeah, you're always doing that.
So
Folding
on the
paper.
left-hand column of the sheet is the exercise what? What do you value? What are your, and we're only asking for 5 things. What are the 5 things? You're pointing toward the camera?
I'm pointing towards the lens because you're looking over here.
Oh, sorry.
You want to look over there,
Thank
right?
you. Okay.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So the 5 things that you really value. What do you value most? So for me, my top 5 values today would be my health and wellness, my relationship with you, my freedom. Freedom is a top 5 value for me. My ability to have a creative, imaginative life, to be able to write and to speak. And then probably the 5th is the ability to do this work that we're doing here today. Those are 5 things that are really, really value.
Yeah, and it's one of the reasons that we chose each other because our values pretty much overlay one another. And I want to just put one caveat here. Your values will change over time.
Yes.
When you have young kids, it would be natural for you to say, I value my kids. When they're out of the house, if that moves down, if it moves down a notch or 10, it doesn't make you a whimsical person. It just means your situation has changed. Your values do shift.
Yes. Yes.
Throughout your lifetime.
Yes.
So,
the first part of this values exercise then is just getting in touch again with what you really, really value. What are your top 5 values? Now, the second part of the exercise over on the right-hand side of the piece of paper is where? Where do you spend your time? Where do you spend your time during the week, during the day?
Are
What
you
do you
at
spend?
the office all the time?
Are you at the office? Are you, a lot of times the top 5 things are work,
Right.
work,
Yeah.
kitchen, work.
Standing in front of the refrigerator.
Yes, and that's okay. But it's a question of connecting again with where you're actually allocating your precious time, your beans, as it were. And here's what's interesting. In the ideal world, there would be a 1-to-1 correlation with what you value and where you're spending your time,
Right.
what
So
you're doing.
if your top value is health and fitness, it would naturally lead to you spending a lot of time in the gym.
We were there
or
this
on the
morning.
road, right? Or on the road,
Yes.
running or doing whatever it is that you do.
So in the ideal world, there'd be a 1-to-1 correlation between what we value and how we're spending our precious beans. And what often happens, however, is that there's a disconnect. And the disconnect is where a lot of the stress and overwhelm and unsettledness and disappointment and discomfort comes from, because we say we value family and then we're spending 80 hours a week in the office. We say we're value health and wellness and we haven't been in the gym in the last 6 months. We say we value lifelong learning. We haven't picked up a book in the last 6 months. And so this incongruity between what we value and how we're living out our days, how we're spending our beans, is this disconnect.
Right. So the simple exercise does 2 things. One, it gets you clear on who you really are and what it is that makes you who you are.
Yes.
And it's like standing on the scale. Like if you aren't checking in with how you are allotting your time, and if you aren't comparing it to what it is in fact you value, it's one of the reasons you get to the end of the year and you feel like you've murdered a year.
Yes.
Because
you've wasted.
Right. So right now, this is creating a baseline. It's standing on the scale and saying, where are you right now? How are you frittering away your time? Or how are you spending your time well, where you can give yourself a sense of, permission to breathe a little bit.
Yes, and where the two exercises intersect is that your values then become a filter for deciding what it is that you really, really want in your life. If you really, really value freedom, are you
Yeah, are you going to
working?
buy the Maserati that is on your bucket list? If you value freedom,
Yes, if
is
you
that the thing you want to go for?
yeah, and there are no right or wrong answers here, but your values matrix becomes a wonderfully powerful filter for how you're going to show up in 2018, where you're going to focus your time, your efforts, your energy, your resources. And so we invite you to do
Right.
the values
So
matrix.
here's what you're probably going to say. I don't have time to do this. It doesn't make sense to do this. If I sit and get clear on this, if I create a bucket list,
I'm gonna be disappointed.
I'm going to
again.
be disappointed yet again.
Yes.
If I take a look at what it is I really want, all I'm going to do is feel bad.
Yes. And as we both know, we were both single parents. It's easy to say, I have too many responsibilities right now. I don't have the time. I don't have the resources. I don't have the bandwidth to do this right now.
Right. So we're saying if you want to design your life, if you actually want to design your life, it has to start right now. It has to start with taking a look at these things, maybe even feeling a little bit uncomfortable, maybe feeling disappointed a little bit, but creating a target.
Well, yes, and I just kind of want to dive in just a little deeper to the objections around, it's selfish for me to do this. I have too many responsibilities. I'm taking care of too many other people. And the truth is, we teach not by what we say, but by how we live our lives. And when we have significant others, when we have children, how we show up in the world, how we make our choices, how we seek to fulfill our dreams. We teach by the way we live. And so it is in service not only to ourselves to show up powerfully in the world, but it's also in service to those that we care about to really connect again with what we value.
Right. And
So-
to show them that it can be done.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the year 2018 is just around the corner, and 2017 has whizzed by. We have another video coming out in a couple of days, and it's going to be the one tool.
Oh.
Yeah, and
We're-
it's actually the tool that takes us.
We're taunting you right now.
Yes, we're
taunting
inviting
you.
you to come back.
Right.
So it is the one tool that will actually then take this work that we've talked about today and connect it then to the tool that will allow you to actually implement. One of the frustrations, one of the objections that people always talk about when we come to doing this is it hasn't worked out in the past. I had resolutions and they didn't work. We're not talking about resolutions. We're actually talking about co-creating, designing 2018 in a really powerful way.
So what do we want people to do?
So we'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to email us, you know how to
Yeah.
get a hold of us. You can go down below and leave comments for us.
Yeah,
But
we'd love to know what's on your bucket list. We'd love to know what your top value is
Yes.
and where you spend your time.
Yeah.
So share some of it with us. We'd love
Yes.
we'd love to see what
We
you're
would.
thinking.
We would love to see that, and I'm pretty excited about the next video because I really love this tool, and so definitely
We're teasing you. You have to come back.
definitely come back. Thanks so much for spending this time with us, and we'll see you in the next video.
See you on the other side.
Take care.